Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Once again, I wanted to share with you how I have my Canon R5C laid out as far as the buttons and the menu. So first we'll start with number one. That's autofocus on, autofocus off. I use this a lot just to acquire focus quickly. I think the biggest mistake a lot of times filmmakers make if they're using autofocus a lot is they keep it on all the time. Sometimes people will cut in front of you or it may inadvertently fail. So this will limit kind of the failure rates. If you just click it on when you need it, click it off when you don't. I probably use autofocus 20% of the time. The other 80% I'm going to be manual focusing, but I find this button very useful to acquire focus on something quickly. And again, that's number one, AF on. I keep as AF on, AF off. And I love the green confirmation window you get from Canon. Okay, so the next button we have is number two. I keep that as tracking. Sometimes you just want to lock autofocus or okay. So the next one we have is number two, which is tracking. Sometimes you just want to track something, and I use that when it's on a gimbal a lot, just because if I want to track something static, I can move with the gimbal and still keep it in focus, mainly on your closer shots, not necessarily on a wider shot. But I find that that's really useful. I never really use tracking for people because sometimes it gets confused. So I prefer to keep it on the standard mode for that. But again, number two is going to be tracking. And then three, I keep as display so I can adjust my display. And then number four is menu, media, cancel. That's not changed. And then number 13 over here is the function button, which I don't really use the buttons over here because they're not on the right side, but that's what number 13 is. And then next are my two favorite buttons or favorite things I use a lot. That's number five, which is going to be your face detect autofocus. You click it to turn it on and then click it again to turn it off. So it toggles face detection on and off. And I find that useful whenever I'm using autofocus. So next, we're going to have our number six, which is going to be false color. False color is by far the best exposure method. And to be able to quickly click on really quick, make sure there's no red, not a lot of purple, make sure it's exposed how you want is just amazing. Make sure your skin tones are right. You can just click that on really quick and then click it off. By far the best exposure tool you're ever going to use. All right, so for the top of the camera, we're going to use number 7 as digital IS. I find the digital IS is really useful, especially when you have lenses with optical stabilization, and even if you have lenses without. If they have it already, like the 24-70 Sigma that I have, it's great to be able to get that little bit of extra steadiness, especially since I do a lot of handheld work. And then I have a 50, for example, with no optical stabilization, and it's great to be able to use that and have, some stability. Now, you're not going to be able to use this when shooting RAW, but who's really shooting that much 8K RAW on this camera? It's really no need and not necessary to do it a lot unless you have a specific purpose. So number 7 is digital IS, on and off. Number 8 is going to be my audio setup, so you can quickly see your levels. Pretty straightforward there. Number 9 is going to be your waveform monitor. I have the red box on here, which allows you to see your IRE values highlighted in red on the waveform monitor. That's probably your second best exposure tool, and I do use that from time to time. Number 10 is going to be your slow and fast, but I'm not going to hit that right now because it's going to mess up my screen recording. But I like to use that as a quick way to get some, slow motion. And it's nice to be able to get that on number 10. And then number 11 is function, which I don't use a lot, but that's what that is. So that's pretty much everything. And then 12 is on the front. I turn that button off because I inadvertently touch it quite a bit. So turning it off, I don't have to worry about that. So let me kind of share with you guys my menu. Now this is going to be the My menu. So you can set this up how you want. Let me show you how I use it. So my first thing is frame rate. This is something that I use constantly, switching from 24 to 60. The only reason why I don't like using the slow and fast frame rate is because you lose some functionality as far as, I think you lose the face autofocus, and you don't have the ability to dual record, which I really like because you never want to lose footage. So that's something to keep in mind when using the slow and fast. You can't dual record anymore with it. So anyway, next we have main recording format. That's great to switch between 10-bit and RAW. So next we have second card recording functions. This is great if you're doing slow and fast and you still want to record the audio. You can get the audio by changing this to main, and then the second card is recording the audio. So that's great. And you can also change all this, as you can see. My next is sensor mode. This is super important, guys, to have this on your main screen, because this is going to allow you to change from full frame to Super 35 to Super 16, especially during weddings. I need to punch in a little bit more because I'm on a 70 to 200 Sigma and I need a little bit more punch. So I'll go right into that and get to Super 35. I haven't tried Super 16 yet just because I've had bad experiences where it just doesn't quite look right when you punch in that much. But I do need to do a test and try it. Next is going to be the slow and fast frame rate. When you're in slow and fast frame rate, once you click on it, it's automatically going to put you in 24. Like, why would it do that? I don't know. Who's going to do 24 frames at slow motion? But anyway, you got to go in and adjust every time you switch to it. So that'll allow you to quickly get into that and go up to 120. Next is going to be your AF frame. Sometimes I want it large, sometimes I want it small. So there's that option. On my next page, I have the color profile. I'm either shooting YDR or Canon Log 3. Simple. Next, AF speed. When I have a lens on here that gives me that option, I can adjust it. AF response, you can adjust that. I like to have that quick. Digital IS is here. Probably don't need it to be there though. So next we have the view assist, which will basically put a LUT on the LCD screen. So I need to be able to adjust that quickly. So I have that there. Next is going to be view assist. This is the viewfinder LUT. Do you want it on or off? You can adjust that quickly there. Next is the view assist on your HDMI. So I definitely use this a lot. If I have a monitor, I want to have the LUT automatically be sent to it. This particular item will allow you to do that. Next, we have the Tanley lamp. Sometimes I want it on, sometimes I want it off. So it's there. So on page number 4, I have the menu screen on the HDMI being output to the monitor. So that way I'll be able to see what exactly is being displayed on my camera. The same thing will be displayed on the actual monitor, external monitor. So that's the OSD output HDMI. Next, you have your LCD output. This is great because if you're on a gimbal, you want it on LCD only because it'll constantly cut off the screen. Sometimes you're hand holding, so you want it on auto switching. You may want LCD only, or you might want, the sensor on, whatever. You need to have that quickly accessible, and that's why I have it on this page. See it just, all right. So next, and I keep this on the last page for a reason, guys. I want the formatting not to be accessed accidentally. So it's on the last page, but that's how we format. And that's the only thing I use this page for. So guys, thanks for watching. That's my whole menu and button layout. As you can see, I still have room to add more things as I need them, but I want to share with you this, and let me know if you have any questions about anything and how I have it set up. Thanks for watching. Go shoot something.